Chapter 6 Iceman Poppy's Provocation. By the way, what is your ability, Weiss? Little Naughty asked curiously. Clarice on the side also looked at him curiously with her big green eyes. Well, I call it a reflection. Levi's didn't hide anything. It doesn't matter what the name of the ability tells others, because sooner or later people will find out, unless you don't use ability. Reflection. Hearing this word, Little Naughty and Clarice were a little puzzled. Like this, Levi said and stretched out his hand, only to see a leaf fall from the sky. The moment it touched the palm, the leaves were bounced off. So that's the case. If you think John will get hurt, he must have done it first. This guy is really hateful, the Little Naughty said with a look of righteous indignation. Levi smiled and said nothing. He was a little curious. He had signed up for space movement on Clarice just now, and he didn't know what abilities could be signed on Little Naughty. However, the number of sign-ins for today has been used up, and we can only wait for tomorrow. The next day, because of the attention of Professor X, Levi's moved to a separate dormitory. Finally, he didn't have to squeeze in a room with other boys, which made him sleep very comfortable last night. Arriving in the classroom early in the morning, Levi sat down beside the Little Naughty. He had been thinking about signing on the Little Naughty yesterday. Morning, Mary. Morning. The Little Naughty returned a bright smile. Little Naughty has just come to Mutant Academy, because her ability is so terrible that anyone who touches her skin will be drained of energy, so almost no one wants to approach her. Levi's is one of her few friends since she came to Mutant College. The two talked and laughed, but Clarice, who was sitting in the corner, looked a little sad. Shadowcat Katie, who was sitting beside her, smiled comfortingly. If you like it, go there. Otherwise, a handsome boy like Wes will be taken away sooner or later. Clarice felt a little embarrassed when she was told what she was thinking. She has always been timid, and she was really not good at expressing. If you don't go, then I'll go. Katie laughed. Clarice thought she was joking, but Katie got up and walked over. Seeing this, Clarice gritted her teeth and followed. Weiss, what are you talking about, Little Naughty? Katie pushed Clarice down beside Levi's, then sat down herself. Just a casual chat. Levi's smiled and shook his head. The other students in the classroom were very envious and jealous when they saw that he was surrounded by beautiful women again. But after hearing that John the Burning Man was easily defeated by him yesterday, no one dared to come up and ask for trouble. But there are exceptions to everything. Although Poppy Iceman has always had a bad relationship with firemen, the two are like water and fire. But the relationship between the two is actually pretty good. Hearing that John Pyro was easily defeated yesterday, Iceman felt that he was being challenged. In his eyes, only he could defeat John Pyro. So Burning Man came to the classroom with a few younger brothers and walked towards Levi's aggressively. At the moment, Levi's was just about to sign in for the Little Naughty, but he didn't expect to be interrupted by the arrival of the Burning Man. I heard that you beat John with just one finger. It's impossible, that guy must be careless. Poppy directly provocatively said without any nonsense. If you have the guts, fight with me and let everyone know that I am Iceman is the best. Seeing Iceman's Bobby being so provocative, Levi's didn't speak when the Little Naughty beside him stood up. Poppy, the school doesn't allow private fights. Do you want to be punished by Teacher Orlo? Iceman was even more angry when he saw this, who didn't know that Poppy Iceman was interested in the Little Naughty who just came to the academy, and now the Little Naughty actually helps others to speak. Levi's, do you dare to fight with me? If you don't, just admit defeat and call yourself a coward. If you do this again, Bobby, I'm going to tell Teacher Orlo. The Little Naughty said that he was about to leave the classroom to find Storm, but he was stopped by Levi's reaching out his hand. Since you want to be beaten so much, then I'll do it for you. But, hearing him say that, Little Naughty was a little worried. Don't worry, it won't take long to solve him. Time will be enough before the teacher arrives. Levi's waved his hand lightly. Humph. Then let's go outside and fight. Iceman snorted and walked outside. Levi's followed. The other students in the classroom also joined in the fun and followed behind them. A group of people came to the playground where they usually train super ability. Iceman was about to say something, but was interrupted by Levi's. Stop talking nonsense, let's do it now. Humph. Iceman held back what he wanted to say. He stretched out his palms without talking nonsense, and then an ice mist sprayed out from his palms. The icy fog froze a layer of solid ice instantly after it touched the ground. Iceman's ability is to make ice out of thin air, and the ability to turn air into ice is definitely a level 5 mutant potential. However, Iceman is too weak, and can only play the second level mutant strength at present. Even in its heyday, it is only a third level mutant. Chapter 7 Sign Into Iceman, Freeze Mastery. This kind of strength is nothing in front of Levi's, and he was shrouded in ice fog without even dodging. Haha, I'm going to freeze you into an ice sculpture. Iceman saw that Levi's was enveloped in the ice fog and immediately increased his output, and another icy fog enveloped Levi's, and the whiteness was almost invisible. The little Naughty and Clarice on the side were very worried. However, at this moment, the ice fog around Levi's suddenly disappeared as if it had been blown away by the wind. How is that possible? Iceman's eyes widened in disbelief that his icy mist had suddenly been blown away. There's nothing impossible, just your level of ice can only cool me down. Levi's walked over with a light smile. Vector manipulation can easily reflect these ice fog, or manipulate the air to blow away the ice fog, so this level of ice is not any threat to him at all. Do not come. The ability he was proud of was completely useless. Iceman was a little panicked, and a large amount of ice mist was sprayed out of his hands again. However, this was of no use to Levi's. He put his hands in his pockets and walked through the ice fog calmly to Iceman, and then put a finger on Iceman's chest. Boom. Iceman only felt a huge amount of power suddenly coming from his chest, and the next moment he screamed and flew upside down. The students around were shocked. They thought that the rumor that Levi's defeated John the Burning Man with one finger was bragging. Didn't expect it to be true. Nothing beats Iceman really easily with one finger. The teacher is here. At this time, someone in the crowd shouted, and sure enough, Storm walked over quickly. She looked at Levi's and then at Iceman, who was wailing on the ground, and frowned. Why are you fighting? Levi's shrugged and didn't explain anything. On the other hand, Naughty and Katie began to explain. After listening to the explanation of the two, Storm also understood the cause and effect. It turned out that Iceman took the lead in provocation. You guys take Poppy to the treatment first, Storm said to the boys beside him. After hearing the words, a few boys supported Iceman and were about to leave. At this time, Levi's looked slightly, wondering what he would get by signing in on Iceman. Thinking of this, he decided to sign on Iceman. Did the host check in with Mutant Iceman Poppy? Close black lens bracket. Yes. Open black lens bracket ding. The sign-in is successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the super ability, Frozen Control, with 100 experience points. Close black lens bracket. It turned out to be Frozen Control. Seeing this super ability, Levi's was very happy, because his freezing control is a super ability stronger than Iceman's ice making. He can make ice out of thin air, and he can freeze objects instantly. Any object will be frozen under absolute zero, even space and time. Therefore, the upper limit of this ability is no less than that of vector operations. Then he glanced at the system panel. Super ability, vector operation, space movement, freezing control. Super ability level, LV.3, level 3 mutant. Open black lens bracket experience value, 1200 close black lens bracket. This time, you will get 100 experience points for signing in again, which means that you only need to sign in 8 times to become a level 4 mutant. Thinking of this, Levi's is in a good mood. At this time, Storm turned his eyes to him and said with a headache, although Iceman initiated the incident first, you shouldn't be so heavy, and I'll punish you for cleaning the fallen leaves on the playground. Mutant school rules that private fights are not allowed. No matter what, both of them made mistakes, and it is understandable that they will be punished. No problem. Levi's, who was in a good mood, accepted the punishment without hesitation. Wes, let's help you. At this time, Little Naughty, Katie and Clarice took the initiative to stay and help. Originally, this matter had something to do with them. Levi's definitely did not refuse, and they cleaned it up in a short while. Back in the classroom, the eyes of everyone looking at him suddenly changed. If it was said that he defeated John the Burning Man before, everyone thought it was luck or rumors. However, after seeing Levi's beat Iceman with just one finger, everyone had to admit his strength. For a time, everyone was a little afraid of him. In Professor X's office, when Storm reported the incident to Professor X, everyone's expressions were different. I didn't expect Levi's to hurt 2 students in a row just after he obtained ability, this. Cyclops frowned. However, before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by the piano beside him. It's not Wes' fault for this. Poppy and John provoked it first. Seeing that his girlfriend had spoken, Cyclops naturally had nothing to say. Professor, what do you think? Storm looked at Professor X and asked. It's okay, I can see that the child has a very calm personality and won't do anything out of the ordinary. Professor X smiled. Indeed, that kid has been very low-key since he came to the academy. Storm nodded. Then let's end this matter. Professor X didn't take this matter to heart at all. It was nothing more than sparring among the children, which was not uncommon at Mutant Academy. Everyone has super ability, and it is excusable to accidentally hurt each other. At the same time, in the ward, John was stunned when he saw Iceman being brought in and lying on the bed beside him. After some inquiries, I realized that it was Levi's who taught me a lesson. Damn, isn't this kid a sneak attack? When I get better, I must teach him a lesson. John gritted his teeth. He never admitted that he lost to Levi's, just thought he was attacked. Iceman at the moment was down and didn't have time to pay attention to him. Chapter 8 Burning Man John's provocation again. The next day, Levi's came to the classroom as usual. Teachers often talk a little bit about ability control. Definitely, sometimes there are no classes. Just like Storm or other teachers didn't come today, the students can only move freely. Levi's goal today is to sign in on Naughty or Shadowcat, and he's looking forward to what ability he will sign in. However, after looking around in the classroom, they couldn't find the two of them. After asking Clarice, I found out that it was John the Burning Man who called the little Naughty away, and Shadowcat went with him. Levi's frowned, not knowing what John was going to do. Where did they go? It's the grove of the playground. Clarice pointed in the direction of the grove. Levi's looked in the direction of the playground and left the classroom without saying a word. Clarice followed suit. Soon the two came to the grove. Sure enough, all three are here. I saw John looking a little excited and talking to the little Naughty. Mary, believe me, I like you, don't be with that Levi, he's just a villain who knows sneak attacks from behind. Hearing this, the little Naughty was suddenly a little angry. John, shut up for me, it's obviously you who provoked first and then got taught, and I won't like you. John, I hope you take back what you just said. Wes can't sneak up on you. He only needs one finger to defeat you. Shadowcat on the side couldn't help shaking his head. The Burning Man was a little angry when he heard this. That Levi's is just awakening super ability. If it wasn't for his sneak attack, how could I be injured? At the moment, the Burning Man has been completely swept away by anger, and he didn't want to be hurt by the reflection when he had to pat Levi's on the shoulder. Yes, Levi's, who had just come over, sneered and shook his head. In fact, he didn't quite understand why so many people like Naughty, both Burning and Iceman. Don't they know that Naughty's ability is energy absorbing? Once in contact with her skin, it will be energy absorbing, and there is a risk of being sucked dry, but not everyone is as tenacious as Wolverine. What's the use of them being naughty in this situation? It is true that the little Naughty does have some good looks. From his oriental perspective, it is not bad, but what is the use of only seeing and not touching? Might as well choose the exotic Clarice. Weiss, little Naughty and Shadowcat were a little happy to see him come over. Levi's just fight with me if you want. If you lose, stay away from Mary. How dare you? The Burning Man glared at him. Why not? But what if you lose? Levi's folded his arms and laughed. If I lose, all. If you lose, how about calling the boss when you see me? Levi's suggested. The Burning Man gritted his teeth and agreed, okay, if I lose, I'll accept you as the boss. Then come with me. Levi's turned around and left. In this battle, I still need to talk to teachers like Storm or Jean and the others. If you fight in private, you may be punished again. Then the group went to Storm's office together. And other students in the school didn't know when to know about it. Hey, did you hear that John is going to have a fight with Levi's? What? That kid John dares to fight Levi's? Haha, I think John will be repaired badly. After all, even Poppy was beaten by Levi's with one finger. Let's go and see the excitement, we won't be able to see it later. The students, who were already very bored, came to watch the fun after learning about this. At the same time, in Storm's office, you said you were going to fight. Storm only felt a little headache after hearing what the two of them said. That's right, Mr. Orlo, we're just learning from each other. Levi's laughed. Well, you wait for me first. Storm didn't stop after thinking about it, but she still reported to Professor X. After Professor X understood this, he immediately agreed. Let's go, the professor has agreed to this matter, you come with me. After Storm finished speaking, he brought everyone to a training room. At this time, many students were already following, and Storm ignored them. Okay, your battle is here, but remember to click until the end, especially Wes. When he said this, Storm's eyes were focused on Levi's. After testing, she knew that Levi's ability was completely immune to fire and water, and John's fire control ability was no threat to him at all. Don't worry, Mr. Orlo. Levi smiled and nodded to show his understanding. The burning man on the other side, John, had a stinky face. Storm said that he didn't like him at all. It was no wonder he had a good face. Come on, Weiss. Naughty and Shadowcat and Clarice cheered her on. Many onlookers were also looking forward to this battle. Soon the battle began at Storm's behest. I saw John take out a lighter from his trouser pocket, spin it around in his hand like a cool guy, and then set it on fire. Immediately under his control, the small flame instantly expanded into huge amounts of fireballs and burned over. Chapter 9 Sign Into Burning Man, The Power of Flame Control. Facing the overwhelming flames, Levi still looked lazy with his hands in his pockets, without any intention of dodging. When the students onlookers saw this, they exclaimed and exclaimed. Those who didn't know it thought that Levi's was frightened. However, students who have seen Levi's and Iceman fight know that such flames can't hurt Levi's at all, just like Iceman's ice fog. Seeing that Levi's didn't take him seriously, John immediately increased his firepower. In an instant, his entire being was enveloped in flames. If a flame continues to burn, it may burn out the surrounding oxygen. Although he could isolate the heat of the flame using vector manipulation, even he couldn't hold on without oxygen. However, if you want to use the flame to burn out the oxygen in an area, it is not something that the fireman can do. In an enclosed space may be okay. But in this open-air environment, you want to burn oxygen in an area. Unless it is the level of a hydrogen bomb explosion, otherwise there will be a constant source of oxygen being replenished from other places. Seeing that Pyroman constantly unleashes flames, Levi's has no interest in continuing to play with him. He faced the flames and came to John's body, then put a finger on John's chest. Give it up. Your ability is useless to me. I do not believe. John angrily increased the flame output again. Don't blame me for that. Levi's shook his head and tapped his fingers on John's chest, using vector manipulation to change the force's release. The next moment, John only felt a huge force coming from his chest, and then he screamed and his whole body was blown away. This scene shocked the onlookers, but it felt reasonable. After all, Iceman was defeated like this. Okay, the fight is over. How are you, John? Storm hurried forward to check John's injuries. John just clutched his chest and didn't speak. Don't worry, Mr. Orlo, my power is well controlled, and he shouldn't be injured much. Levi's walked over with a smile, and used the sign in on John at the same time. Open black lens bracket ding. Did the host check in with mutant burning man John? Close black lens bracket. Yes, Levi's ordered in his heart. Open black lens bracket ding. The sign in is successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the super ability, Fire Control, with 100 experience points. Close black lens bracket. Unexpectedly, he obtained the super ability of Flame Control, and unlike the fireman John, he can directly release flames. And as the level of mutant increases, the temperature of the flame will be higher and higher. Now his third level mutant has been able to master blue flames, which can reach a maximum of 6,000 degrees Celsius and can easily melt steel, which is really scary. You must know that the most common orange-red flame has a maximum temperature of only 3,000 degrees Celsius. The surface temperature of the sun is only 5,500 degrees Celsius. Definitely, the core temperature of the sun is 20 million degrees Celsius, which is 3,600 times that of the surface. It can be seen that the flame control obtained by Levi's is not at the same level as Burning Man at all. And as mutant's level increases, he believes that his flames can also reach the temperature of the core of the sun. At the same time, he also discovered one thing. It seems that the super ability obtained has something to do with the sign in target. For example, Clarice's ability is to create a portal, and sign in on her to gain space movement. On Iceman and Burning Man, the two super abilities, Freeze Mastery and Flame Mastery, were signed respectively. And so far his sign-in hasn't failed. Maybe it was his luck, Levi's guessed to himself. John saw him coming over with a look of dissatisfaction, but after a moment of hesitation he still gritted his teeth and called out, "Boss." After the one who was willing to admit defeat gave a cry, he pushed Storm away from him and ran away. He has no face to stay here after losing the battle. Levi's, who was in a good mood, didn't care when he saw this. Seeing such a result, the students' onlookers were shocked by his powerful strength. It's amazing, John's flames are completely useless to him. You haven't seen Levi's fight with Iceman. Iceman's ice is also useless to him. What is Levi's super ability? I don't know, the super ability of not being afraid of fire and ice is too powerful. There was a lot of discussion, some envy, some admire, and some doubt. Okay, go back to the classroom. Teacher Chin will teach you a lesson later. Seeing that the students had no intention of leaving, Storm immediately started chasing people. Back to the classroom, Levi's looked at his system panel. Super ability, vector operation, space movement, freezing control, fire control. Super ability level, LV.3, level 3 mutant. Experience value, 1,300. This time, he got a new super ability and a younger brother, which made him feel good. And the experience value has also increased by 100. If there is no accident, if you sign in once a day, you can upgrade to LV4 within a week. The 4th level mutant is also considered a very powerful existence in this world. Huh, Clarice, you seem to be in a bad mood. Levi's, who was in a good mood, suddenly noticed that Clarice, who was at the same table, seemed to be in a bad mood. Ah, is there any? Clarice froze for a moment. Definitely, it's all written on your face. If you have anything on your mind, you can tell me. Levi's laughed. Clarice was silent for a while, then whispered, "I miss my friends." Friend, her name is Lorna, a friend of mine in the mutant underground. After a pause, Clarice continued, "After I escaped from the mutant detention center, Lorna and the others' mutant underground organization took me in, and then we were discovered by the Sentry Secret Service, and I was separated from them." After listening to her story, Levi's finally understood. There are at least hundreds of thousands of mutants in this world, and the 3 largest organizations of mutants are X-Men, created by Professor X. Magneto creates and leads the Mutant Brotherhood. There is also the Hellfire Club, which has been run by Mutant. In addition to this, there are a few separate underground mutant groups. It was one of the underground mutants who had rescued Clarice before. And isn't Lorna Magneto's daughter Polaris? After clarifying all this, Levi's found that this is somewhat similar to the plot of Ability. It's just that Clarice accidentally opened the portal and came here. Chapter 10, Leaving the Academy and Signing into Little Naughty. Clarice, do you want to go back and see? Levi's asked with a smile. Clarice nodded, yeah, but it shouldn't be allowed out here. If she simply went out, she would definitely be able to use Ability to go out, but she finally found a place to stay, and she didn't want to be displaced. It's okay, Professor X is very talkative, but if you go back alone, I'm afraid it will be very dangerous. Clarice looked a little sad when she heard this. But it doesn't matter, I'll go with you. In fact, I also want to meet your friends. Levi's laughed. This is Miss Polaris, who doesn't want to meet, but doesn't know if Polaris has a partner now. This timeline really made him a little confused. Clarice was a little overjoyed when she heard his words. Wes, do you really want to go with me? Definitely, you wait here, I'll talk to Teacher Orlo about this. Levi said and left the classroom. When he came to Storm's office, he told Storm the whole thing just now. Storm frowned after hearing this. Levi's was very valued by Professor X. If something happened to him when he left the academy at this time, it would be troublesome. Weiss, listen, I have to tell the professor about this, you wait here first. Okay, Teacher Aurora. Levi's nodded in understanding. Storm then leaves the office to find Professor X. That's how it goes. Storm reported to Professor X what Levi's had said. Then let them go. Professor X said slowly after thinking for a while. But Professor, where they're going, the mutant management is very strict and I'm afraid it's dangerous. Storm frowned. It's okay, the kids really should be out and about, besides they're just going to see their friends. Professor X has his own considerations. After all, this academy is where mutants are protected, not where they are imprisoned. If it's not enough to just go out and see friends, I'm afraid these children will inevitably have other thoughts. And even if something happened, Professor X had the confidence to fish people out. I see. Storm nodded and said nothing. Back in the office. How is it, Teacher Orlo? Levi's asked, looking at Storm, who came back. Storm sighed and nodded. Yeah. The professor has agreed. You can go back and see your friends, but you must remember to protect your own safety. Don't worry, Mr. Orlo. Levi's was a little happy, but also a little puzzled. Glad to be able to go out and see Miss Polaris. What is puzzling is that Professor X let him go so easily. But no matter what, the matter is finally settled. After Storm's instructions, Levi's immediately returned to the classroom and told Clarice the news. Really? Professor X really agreed. Clarice was a little excited. Levi's nodded with a smile. Oh, yes, we can leave tomorrow when we're ready. Getting this answer, Clarice looked at him gratefully, and then slapped him in the face while he wasn't paying attention. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Levi's froze for a moment. He didn't expect Clarice to be so bold. Clarice didn't expect that she would be so impulsive, and she felt a little embarrassed. The next day, Levi's and Clarice were ready to salute early in the morning, and they also told Naughty and Shadowcat about it. What did you say? You guys are leaving the academy? Little Naughty looked a little excited. Don't get excited. Don't worry, I'm just accompanying Clarice to visit a friend, and we'll be back in a few days. Levi's quickly comforted the excited little Naughty. So that's the case. I thought you guys were going to elope. Shadowcat teased. The little Naughty looked at Clarice, then at Levi's, and then said, I want to go too. I'm afraid I have to get the approval of Professor X, or you can talk to Teacher Aurora now. Levi's suggested. Okay, wait, I'll go and ask Teacher Orlo now. No, I'm already here. The little Naughty just wanted to go to Storm's office, but he didn't expect Storm to come. Mr. Orlo, I also want to go with them. Little Naughty hurriedly said. I'm afraid not. Storm shook his head. Why? Little Naughty didn't believe it. Storm shook his head and said, it's something the professor decided, and they just went to see their friends, and they'll be back soon. That's right, Mary, don't worry, I'll take you out to play next time. Levi's nodded and smiled. Although the little Naughty was a little unwilling to see this, there was nothing he could do. Okay, hurry up and go back. Storm also saw the little Naughty's thoughts, but he didn't say anything more. Well, then Mary and Katie goodbye. Goodbye. Levi's and Clarice leave Mutant Academy after saying goodbye to Naughty and Shadowcat. Definitely, he didn't forget to sign in on little Naughty before he left. Has the host checked into Mutant's little Naughty Mary? Close black lens bracket. Sign in. Levi's ordered without hesitation. Open black lens bracket ding. The sign-in is successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the super ability, energy absorption, and 100 experience points. Close black lens bracket.